What is good, everybody? What's good? It's Big Game James. I'm back in the building, man. And guess what? We doing that Cowboys thing. It's a live call-in show. You know what it is, powered by JJAANN. Capital two J's, two A's, two N's. Download that app right now. You can download it from your tablet, your smartphone, your computer, wherever you're at. Download that. Once you downloaded that, you can go right into that app, type in the Big Game James, go right into it, and it'll ask you if you to have a drink. If you have the drink, if you click have a drink, you'll be able to come right in and we'll be able to hear what you got to say as we talk about these topics over today. And a big signing came in probably a few hours ago, and I think that's the signing that we all. What's up, C. Burleson? I think that's the signing that we all been kind of wanting and been waiting to kind of see is Jonathan Hankins got re-signed for a one-year deal for about 1.5 million, is reported by Michael Gilkin as well as the other Dallas Cowboy community. I'm super excited about that. Number one is because this is the guy I've been wanting. If you're talking about the Cowboys as a whole, if you look at their free agency, especially on the defensive side of the ball, let's look at the signings already. I mean, we're already talking about you brought in, you re-signed LVE. Everybody was like, off-ball linebacker. We probably wanted a Bobby Wagner, but you knew that was probably going to happen. LVE was kind of the company man, but to re-sign Donovan Wilson, that was the huge signing that a lot of us didn't think that was going to happen. So you started by re-signing Donovan Wilson. We thought he was getting out the building. Donovan Wilson comes in, you re-sign him, you bring back LVE, you re-sign Dante Fowler. You come back with the trade with Stephen Gilmore. Then we all been waiting for the Jonathan Hankins signing. When was that kind of domino was going to fall? You brought back Tat McKinley. So you really solidified that defense, and the team was talking about we were really going to lean on the defense. Man, you brought a lot of starters back from the defense. The defense is pretty much intact, and now you can go into the draft like we were talking about, feeling really good. You don't have to feel a lot of pressure from what you see, what's going on out there from the Cowboys' perspective. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm super excited about it. I'm, I'm really excited. What's up, Terry Turner? What's up, Trey Fago? Yeah, man. I remember I was talking about we gave our draft grades. I think last week on the final word. I wasn't able to be on there last night, but we were giving our grades, and I think boss asked me, "What would you give the Cowboys grade?" And I said a B plus, and I said a B plus right now only because um, when you got Stephen Gilmore, he's 32, probably going to be 33 when the season starts, and you got Brandon Cooks, he's 29. They're not young, so I was just critiquing the age of when you're getting them. You're not getting them at the high level, the 25, the 26 prime. You're not getting prime years, but you're still getting good enough years, especially if you're using them just for a one-year deal. You're trying to say do the all-in. This is a kind of a tactic to do it. So that's why I had gave it a B plus across the board. But I said I hit it with an A if you sign Jonathan Hankins, which my guy from Mike White Burgers and Blitzes said was going to happen. But, they said it was kind of this slow foot in the time. But, man, how can you not be excited about what you see right now with the Dallas Cowboys, what they're doing, especially how they really finagled the trade more than anything else. That was the biggest thing that kind of set it off for me, because when you look at what they did in free agency, they haven't really did anything in free agency. They haven't really signed any kind of free agents, right? They haven't went out and signed anything. They signed their own. So just what Stephen Jones has said, he stays true to that, is they're signing their own. They're going to draft, and they're going to, see what, be not big players in free agency, but see what's out there, after the dust settles. But the biggest thing right here is we've always seen them when they get these compensatory picks, they let these guys walk after the contracts are over. They don't re-sign them, and they get these compensatory picks. So when you get these compensatory picks, it just seems like they just be hoarding them and want to add players. Well, just like we had been talking about with Mike White on Burgers and Blitzes, when you got a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh rounder, and those are extra picks. Most of those guys are not going to make the roster. What's up, Samuel Rowe? What's up, 808? Most of these guys are not going to make the roster. So since most of these guys are not going to make the roster after your fourth and fifth round, especially like in your fifth round, if you got 2/5 or 3/5 or 2/6, hey, wheel and deal those, because those guys pretty much are not going to make the roster. And if you can bring back a quality player by only getting rid of them as a fifth rounder, i.e., we saw what happened with the Cleveland Browns, we're going to say they fleeced Dallas. They got Amari Cooper for a fifth rounder. So it shows you right there. If you can get a good player for a low draft pick, do it. And Dallas looked like they kind of flipped it after kind of losing out on the Amari Cooper thing. What's up, T Smooth? After losing out on the Amari Cooper deal, that's where you could see that. But as I said before, man, if you want to jump right in, I got the link right here. I'll post it. I'll post it again. All you have to do, if you want to jump right in here and come on here and live, and let's get your personal thoughts about it, and what you guys think about the Cowboys and what they're doing so far and what they're kind of bringing to the table. Okay, my dog is in here. So I think there we go.
Yo,
What's up with your big dog?
first of all, they didn't lose the Amari Cooper trade. That was the only pick that they got offered.
Okay.
If they come on, if you'd have got somebody throwing you a third, why wouldn't they take a third? They're not that spiteful, are they? Not like Mac McCarthy and T.Y. Hilton when he sent them to the Jets for next year's seventh.
Yeah, I can get that, but I think everybody's just frustrated that, a player his caliber went like that, but it is what it is.
Sure. Yeah, I was frustrated too because they didn't replace that level of talent.
Right. Right.
And I mean that's what it was. You specific, just like when they let Dez walk, they didn't replace him. They said, "Oh, Allen Hurts is going to be wide receiver one, buddy. Go ahead,
Right.
have fun."
Right. Right. Well, I definitely feel you with that. I mean, I feel you with that. But look, at the end of the day, let's look at it right here. They didn't hoard those picks like they usually do. They usually try to
Right.
hold them fifth and
Yes.
sixth picks, and they hoard them, and then they get players, and they're like, I'm not hating on the Matt Waletzkos, but that's who we kind of get in the fourth and fifth rounds. And those guys,
Josh Ball.
right, those guys that are going to struggle to even make rosters or even get any kind of playing time. So you see that's a pick wasted. So now you see them being smart and saying, hey, we got this extra fifth, we got this extra sixth. Let's try to wheel and deal with it. And you saw what came to fruition of it. Finally, you got a Brandon Cook, so you got speed. You got a Stephon Gilmore who's legit in the secondary, and now you feel good. And I want to ask you how you feel. We just re-signed Jonathan Hankins. Now
They're doing what they're supposed to do.
Right? Yeah.
This is what NFL teams are supposed to do. You're supposed to actively get better. Talent acquisition, 365 days a year. Da, 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 da. But when free agency happens, we're in Bahamas for the first 3 weeks.
What's going on, Low 44? I'm listening to you, big dog. But I totally agree with you, man. It's like we're patting them on the back, right? But this is stuff that you're supposed to be doing as an NFL team. It's kind of like a parent who says, "Hey, I'm watching my kids. I'm doing this." You're supposed to be doing that. You're the parent. You're supposed to be buying them groceries. You're supposed to be doing that grade for them.
Right. My wife don't throw me a party when I come home and don't cheat on her.
Right.
You know what I mean? Why am I giving out gold stars for something you're supposed to be doing?
Right. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, congratulations. You finally decided to be a part of the NFL after 27 years of doing it your own way, and it ain't working.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and like I said, hopefully it was the pressure of other teams, the Eagles. Hopefully that was out, or the pressure of us. Listen to the fans.
I'm hoping it was us.
Yeah, listen to the fans finally saying, "Hey, man, come on, enough is enough." You guys kind of can't be slow-footed in this, and just because you don't have somebody on your neck saying, "Hey, you got to make this trade, you got to do that," because you guys are running things, don't mean you slow-foot this thing. You always got to be looking like you said. You always 360 is a talent acquisition, but show it. Don't talk about it.
Right.
This looks like the first year you finally showed it, and you're not just hearing about it, and it's finally shown a show for fruition. And I'm excited about it, at least definitely on that defensive side of the ball, dog.
And they're not shut-up signings either, like they were with Clinton Dix and the other ones.
Those to me weren't bad. I felt like they were trying because we have been screaming to get a big boy in the middle, and at least they got Poe, and Poe was not bad before he came over. When they got McCoy, he was not bad, and they they did they
No, he just
he
got
just
hurt.
got hurt. And then even when they got Everson Griffin, Everson Griffin had came off an 8-sack season. We were wanting him, and they actually went out and
Yeah,
got him. So I can't fault them. Those actions,
I was happy about Everson Griffin, but the reason they got rid of him because he decided to run his mouth in the media.
right?
I really think he was the one that said they can't come out, they can't coach. I believe that.
Yeah. I mean, probably so. But you know what? They gone, and that's why they probably cut them at the mid-season and got rid of those guys because they was becoming a cancer to what's going on. You know what I mean? And like I said, you see my guy, the ninja jumped in here. I dropped the app. What up, Mel? What up, dog? I dropped the app
I'll
here.
let other people jump in,
Yeah,
bro.
let them come on in. Get on here if you want to, jump on the live calling show and let's hear your voice and let's hear what you got to say. But I want to ask you a grade now. I think we talked a couple weeks ago when you came on here. I gave the grade a B plus. I said I give it an A if you add Hankins. They added Hankins. How do you feel? What was your grade?
I mean, I still want wide receiver. I'm still not satisfied with wide receiver.
You happy if
I
they brought
mean,
back
are they going
T.Y. Hilton and added?
I'd like to bring back T.Y. Hilton, but I mean, you want an A from me? Go get Hopkins for a fourth. Go get Hopkins for a fourth or a fifth. Something. Rework his deal. Do something. I mean, the wide receiver market is downtrending, and is not many pieces moving. What isn't there? The Jets wide receiver, not Elijah
They
Moore,
talking about
the other
Mims,
one. I'm sorry.
Denzel Mims.
Yeah. Why aren't we looking into him?
I mean,
I mean, they came out and said Elijah Moore was a cornerstone piece, and they didn't want to get rid of him, but they got rid of him.
right, exactly. And Mike White, he been talking about Mims until the cows come home. He been screaming
Right.
Mims, and I don't know. I think when I heard the interview and I heard Stephen Jones saying, "Well, we didn't do anything different than we usually do. It's just opportunity presented itself." That just got me a little leery. That man, I
Yeah.
hear that, then that tells me that they're going to just stick with the draft now, and they feel like, well, we got our guy. That in a way, it's a shut up signing because look, we got that receiver right, so shut up. We went and got a corner,
Yeah.
so shut up. So now you can't say we ain't do it. So that to me, it's a shut up signing in a way if we really look at it, but it's a good shut up
I'm
signing.
just.
These ain't guys that ain't going to actually help the team.
I mean, I'm just weary because of the wide receiver group last year. They kind of want to keep together as a core, but they weren't good. They were. Dak was number one in tight window throws. Why? Because they couldn't get separation, even though C.D. Lamb was eighth in separation, which that math don't math to me. But I mean, it, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like, how do you go and say he was number one in tight window throws, but C.D. Lamb wasn't the problem because he was eighth in separation? I don't get that. I mean, but he was the number one targeted wide receiver on the team last year, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but Michael Gallup, I'm still leery about that.
I
I'm still leery about Tolbert and the slew of the other mediocre guys they got in that room. I'm not sold on the wide receiver room.
Yeah, I can get that. I mean, I am saying that it's better, but you will can say, but sooner or later you got to trust this pick in Jalen Tolbert. Even though you're saying I'm leery of it, you got to trust it. You drafted him in the third round. This is only his second year. You got to look at saying, hey, he's got to be able to do something. You got to put some trust in it. Michael Gallup will go back to a third role, a third receiver, so less pressure will be put on him, in my opinion. And I feel like after a year two, your ACL is better after year two. Year one, I feel like they just kind of pushed him because everybody
Well,
in the
yeah.
media, it was their fault because they jumped out in the media and were saying, "Oh, he's going to be ready. He's going to be ready." And then we all knew that you're not going to be ready. You're not going to be ready at the start of the season.
Oh, Dak was going to come back from a broke thumb in 4 weeks.
Right, right. But let me get your thoughts and everybody's thoughts. And once again, you can come right in here, click into the app. It'll say have a drink. You click right into have a drink, and it'll tell you right to come in. But let's talk about what Jerry's been saying lately in the media. I don't really pay attention to him in the media, but let's just talk about it. Let's talk about the Terrence Steele thing. Okay, he's saying, oh, guess what? Now we got Terrence Steele. He can be a great flex position, or we're going to try him at guard. And they asked Mike McCarthy, and he's saying, yeah, we kind of looked at it a little bit. Kind of what's your thoughts on that? How do you feel about that in Cowboys Nation? What do y'all feel about Terrence Steele? We hear about Jerry Jones saying that he's basically not going to be the starter at right tackle, and they're kind of experimenting at guard as well.
I think it's smoke. I think it's all draft smoke. I mean, they like late in season last year they said that Dan Quinn was just trying to get for guys in different spots, this that, and the other thing. He was trying to rest dudes because I mean after the season came out, Mike McCarthy says I want to rest my defense. That's what Dan was trying to do. Let's call a spade a spade. I mean that's what he was rotating dudes out because he was trying to rest his defense and kind of get guys for longevity according to GPS and all that shit stuff. But I mean, as far as Terrence Steele at left guard, I think it's a stupid idea. I mean, I'm not an O-line guru, but how do you go from I mean, even they say it's hard to go from right tackle to left tackle, let alone outside to inside. You got less space. Why can't we go after Mafi? Everybody started talking about Mafi after I started asking about him.
Right. I mean,
I've been asking about Mafi. I told
right.
you about it. I said I like him because he plays left guard like a hockey goalie.
Right. Well, I just feel like, it's number one is smoke because I just don't think Terrence Steele, we saw what he did when you were at left tackle, when he played right tackle, when he played left tackle, when they were going back and forth. He struggled on the left side.
That's a good point.
Obviously, he settled down a little bit, but he struggled on that left side more than that right side. So that should already tell you right there to leave it alone. But I'm listening to a few comments in here. And a few is like, they're trying to get Steele for the cheap. They threw out that second round tender on him. They placed on him. But if you notice, did you see Terrence Steele when he was working out? He's showing he's working without a brace. So I think it's a little, back and forth with that as far as negotiation ploy, because Terrence Steele showing, hey, I'm totally healthy. I'm not working out with a brace. So I'm pretty much ready to go. So we don't want to hear, well, we don't want to bring him back slowly because his knee's not ready. So we're going to let Tyron Smith get those reps. Remember, his contract is a lot of incentive based, and it's based on playing time. So I wonder if that is kind of that little cat and mouse thing is going on, because you know how they like to negotiate as far as like if a guy's about to get some big money. This is how they probably maybe try to lowball. Do you think that's going on?
That could be. I mean, they could be trying to drive him down. I mean, they don't. They love position flexes. Look at what they did with Tyrone Crawford for years.
Right.
Tyrone Crawford was inside-outside guy. Here, gain weight, lose weight. Gain weight, lose weight. Here, yeah, destroy your body for us, please. Here's some extra money. I mean, and they love that. They think they're smarter than everybody by having guys that can do more than one position. But sometimes it's to the detriment of the team. Sometimes you want a left tackle specialist. I understand sometimes people get hurt and you can shuffle things around, but sometimes you need a specialist, somebody that's an all-pro at that position, doesn't have to go nowhere else. Zach Martin. Zach Martin can play every single line on the line, every spot on the line. But why are you going to make him? Let him play right guard. Let him be great.
Right. Yeah, I think this is the biggest thing, man. Is because of Tyron Smith, and they have that love for him, and they try to let him go out his way, and I think they're trying to be sensitive to that. But this ain't the time to be sensitive. This is time to win championships. So if you got Terrence Steele, who's your better right tackle right now, we understand Tyron Smith he could play it, but we understand he's 31, 32 years old now. He's not young like Terrence Steele. And to me, he's your building block now. We've seen what Terrence Steele did, and we saw how he was missed when he went out. Even when you had Tyron Smith come in and help out, we saw how much the team fell off when Terrence Steele went out, especially in the running game on that right side. That right side was eaten when he was on that side. So to see how that dynamic has changed, it just doesn't make sense when you hear that. Now, let's talk about something else. Ezekiel Elliott. We heard that the three teams that he had threw out there, I think the Jets, the Eagles, and the Bengals, none of them had any kind of interest in him.
Right.
And now they're saying we're open to possibly a Ezekiel Elliott reunion. Do you think something like that would really happen, and would you be down for it?
The biggest problem with Zeke coming back this year on the original deal was the amount of money that was going to be spent on that position. And the production you weren't getting out of Zeke last year I mean, yeah, he produced, but he wasn't Zeke. If he comes back, great. I mean, I think that's what they kind of let him did. Was like we don't want to insult you by lowballing you and taking like we need you on the vet minimum, and I'm not trying to insult you by saying here I need you to take away all your money. I don't want to do that, right? And I respect that. If that's how that happened, hey, go test the market. If you get paid, fine. If not, we'll bring you back for a year or two. You know what I mean? I can respect that because at the end of the day, that's what they do. That's what they do to their guys.
right? I think it doesn't bother me about a reunion. It is what it is.
It don't move me
Right.
much.
I don't jump up and down, but I think if we're looking at the Dallas Cowboys, you have the familiarity with the team, you know what
Right.
it's going to be, and so that's where you would say this could work back out because this is a guy that was already there, and this is a guy that you can still draft a running back, you can still add a player, but I just hope that if they bring him back, it's not a situation where Zeke is back now. You draft a running back.
He can't be the feature
Yeah,
back.
and you can't say, "Oh, well, Zeke is back now." You let your top pick or one of your better, picks that you drafted running back.
Right.
He's got to sit now because Ezekiel Elliott's there. That's what I said. Even when we had the final word, that I don't want that to be the progress stopper like you saw with the Jason Witten and with those guys. Those guys were progress stoppers, and I don't want that Ezekiel Elliott. If you were bringing him back in that fold, don't let him be a progress stopper to your other backs.
I think you can. I think you can also make the argument that if you do bring back Zeke, it'll make Dak happier, and he may be open to signing an extension. Because as it sounds right now, it doesn't sound like he's open to signing an extension, or else they would have been doing it.
Right, 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 right.
I mean, like who said who I forget. I don't know all the numbers, but I'm sure you can um, find it out how much money an extension would open up for Dallas if they did extend Dak say another 4 years. How much money would free up because they're right now they're barely at 23 before Hankins signed. So Hankins signed for 1.5,
Mhm.
so they're barely at 21 and a half if my math is correct. And they like to carry 20 over into the season. So, and the only other way to free up money, in my understanding, is to extend Dak. If Dak isn't feeling it because of how you've treated him the last couple of years, maybe hey, if we bring Zeke back, will that entice you to sign? Maybe. I don't
I
know.
don't know. That's going to be a delicate situation. As I said before, to me, you can see the friction. This is the first time I really heard Dak with
Yeah.
friction when they interviewed him and they were talking about the possible extension, and he was like, "Well, maybe we'll be like Stephen Jones, and we'll just wake up one day and just sign it." I felt like when I
Right.
heard him say that, I felt like okay, there's a little bit of there already to me was already like beef with the front office, but that
Well,
that
yeah.
solidified it right there to me. In my opinion, I'm like, okay, it ain't so good over here now and when him to say, I always want to be a Cowboy, I think that was just, I don't want to start no drama. I don't want to, say I don't want to be here because that's just going to start a firestorm. So let me just say the right things, but let everybody know that everything ain't good in the hood. What I'm telling you right now is about with this extension of things of that nature. So it's gonna be a weird situation, big dog, because so many people be hating on Dak. If you're the quarterback of the team, do you still want to keep dealing with that underappreciation and the hate
I
you keep
mean,
on getting from the fan base?
between the hate for the fan base and what the front office has said over the last 3 years, every time they get a camera in their mouth talking about how come you don't go after talent, well, we paid the quarterback, we can't. So every time they open their mouth, it's my contracts. My contract's the problem. Fuck, screw you. I'm out.
Right, right,
I'm out. Let's see who can go get yourself a rookie quarterback and see if he can do it. What I do. I'll go over here and win a ring.
right.
I thought when they were gonna, I really did think that he was going to Jacksonville during that free agency period when they were having a problem signing him the second time.
Yeah, for sure.
I really did think he was going to Jacksonville.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a possibility. We got another user up in the building. Is it JT Taylor?
What's
What's
up?
going on? How you doing today?
Yeah, James, we finally get to meet, baby
Hey,
boy.
what's going on? How you doing?
Yeah, we chilling, baby.
Hey, so we've been talking about the Cowboys, man, and the signing. So we're talking about Dak, but just to kind of circle back, Jonathan Hankins just re-signed. Kind of how you feeling about the Cowboys? What they've done in the offseason so far.
The Cowboys, my team, and what we've done so far has been fire. It's been fire, and bringing Big Hankins back. That's a plus. That's gonna stop. That's gonna stop all that running, all that running. But where I'm at with, especially with Dakota Prescott, it's put up a shut up time, Dakota. No more that for me. I call him Dakota now. Dakota Prescott. I'm going by his government, Dakota. Cause hey, Dakota, once we fix all this, there ain't no excuses, baby. There's no more excuses. No more.
Yeah.
No more excuses.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely going to be heard in the building. That there's no more excuses from anybody. There's not going to be any excuses from a Mike McCarthy, the coaching staff, from anybody because they're putting everything in place. But as Mike McCarthy said, then when they said, "How come we haven't seen a coach win 2 Super Bowls from 2 different organizations?" He said, "It takes time. You got to build that up." So, do you think he gets that little bit of time since they add these additions? Do you think the front office says, "Hey"? Do you let them? He's only got I believe 2 years left on his deal. Do you think this is the critical year right here?
It is. It is, especially with now bringing in the West Coast system, Digi system, and with Schottenheimer at the OC and McCarthy calling offensive plays. Yeah, I believe that we got to start holding people accountable for their ways and actions from the head on down.
What about you, Ninja?
So who do you hold accountable for when your 5-man front can't block a 4-man pass rush and you drop 7?
New offensive defensive line coaches.
I never agreed with the Philbin signing, but my point is in the playoffs when they lost against San Francisco the first time, if you can't put 5-6 dudes on the offensive line that can't block 4 dudes, I don't care how good they are. If you can't have 6 dudes block 4 dudes, you're not going to win the game.
Well, if the coach can't read his personnel right.
Well, that's fair. The coach didn't. They didn't give no help on the left tackle side when Tyron went out, and who they was it Terrence Steele they put over there, and they didn't put no tight end over there to help him. But I mean, I think there are extenuating circumstances when it comes to the 2 playoff losses in the back-to-back years, and I don't that game last year. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But I mean, at the same time, the front office didn't do him no favors. I really don't think the front office did him no favors at all. I mean, you had mediocre at best. Like everybody talks about putting Dak in the same category as the top quarterbacks in the league. What is the one thing the top quarterbacks in the league have that Dak don't? Multiple premier pass catchers. Look at what happened.
That's what we're about to fix.
Now, yeah, I don't see that though. I see them fixing O-line first and then going after wide receiver. I don't see them going after wide receiver first.
I don't even think it's gonna be neither really.
Really?
Offensive line maybe, but I can see them going getting that boy Gibbs, big James Gibbs, and not B. John Robinson. Gibbs, the running back from Alabama / Georgia Tech.
But do you think he's going to fall to 58?
Yeah, but I don't know if he drops that far because I definitely don't feel like they get him that early at 26. Gibbs, I like Gibbs a lot, but I don't think they would do that just because they're going to look at his size. And I don't know if he lasts until 58 because those wheels that he has. That's going to be tough because we don't know how the draft falls. My opinion, when you're hearing a lot of this Steve Avila from Kansas State, I mean, I think that's a real big thing now just because you just added Hankins. They got TCU. So, and he's a big athletic kid and he's from Texas. They need that spot. And I'm not sold. I don't want Tyler Smith going to play in left guard. I don't want him playing that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He's got to be your left tackle, dog. Like, let him stay at left tackle, let him grow and let him be there. And I'm cool. you still got to build up that offensive line because it's still, in my opinion, still not all the way settled when you look at the front. That guard position is missing.
Right.
The tackle, Terrence Steele is still rehabbing. Tyron Smith is older. Zach Martin is another year older, even though he's great. He's still another year older. And then Tyler Biadasz is coming up with his contract. So I
What
feel like
am
you gotta add to that. You feel me?
I think Tyler takes a team friendly deal. He's a 4th-round draft pick. I don't think he's going to command top center money.
Yeah,
I think he's going to.
I don't think he is either. What's going on?
I
Is it
think
Skip Lou?
I really like Mafi. I mean, I mean that kid plays angry. He's all over the place. His sidestep, he can go 10 yards one way or one way or the other and still block the shit. I mean, the dude.
Go ahead.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'm listening to you.
But I mean, it's going to depend on where the draft falls. Are you subscribed to the Athletic? Did you see the top 100 list?
No, I am not subscribed to Athletic at all
Um,
because that costs some
Dame
bread.
Brugler dropped his Dame Brugler dropped his top 100 today. It was really interesting to see. Damn, I'm going to lose the name. Hold on, let me go. Is a cornerback that I didn't think was going to be cornerback 1, let alone 4 overall.
Right.
But if that does happen and teams are taking like when the Lions took Okuda,
Right.
4th overall, right? So that's going to drop better players of need for us down,
Right.
and I'm cool with that.
Right.
But I mean, you can never predict. You can never predict how the draft's going to go,
Right.
unless you're Dame Brugler, apparently.
I mean, he'd be having an inside scoop. What's going on, Skip Lou? How you doing?
Dude,
What's up? What's
the
up?
way that man predicted the draft 2 years ago, he was 30 out of 32.
I know, right?
That's
But
disgusting.
he's like an information machine, dog. That's what he's like an info machine. He's like totally different with that.
That's crazy to me.
What's going on? We got Skip Lou who's in the building. Hey, how you doing today?
What's up, brother?
We just talking to Cowboys football, man. Cowboys fan?
No.
Just checking out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. No, I ain't a Cowboys fan. I like. Well, I'm from St. Louis. I used to like the Rams. Well, now I like Kansas City.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, we on this Cowboys now, big dog. We talking about the Cowboys and free agency and things of that nature, and how the Cowboys are kind of doing and what they're kind of looking like heading into this next season with their signings. I know them Chiefs just won that
Yeah.
Super Bowl, but yeah, man, we just talking about these Cowboys over here.
Well, I mean, we could compare the Chiefs. I mean, look at what happened to Mahomes the year he lost to Brady. You know, like I was saying earlier, my point earlier that I didn't get to finish was we had multiple they had more pass catchers. They had when who was the left tackle? Eric Fisher went down and Mitchell Schwartz went down against the Bucks in the Super Bowl. What happened? Mahomes looked normal, even though he was out there slinging it. And that was the year that he was vertical and he slung the ball freaking 40 yards down the field, and he wasn't even on the ground. And I mean, but that gets held to that standard. But even Mahomes is normal without an offensive line. You know,
Right.
look at the way they built around him when they lost Tyreek Hill. They lost Tyreek Hill. They go out and sign 3 wide receivers and draft one. Like, that's normal stuff, man.
Right.
And that's what upsets me about this damn front office.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I'm looking at it, the way they've done right now, they haven't done anything really different. It's just they finally got aggressive with picks. They didn't sit there
Right.
and hoard picks. They sat there and actually got out there, used their mind, maneuvered, and said, "Hey, let's sit there and actually do something with this because you can't, like I said, you can't be relying on young rookies every time, especially those 5th and 6th rounders. You know what I mean? That just doesn't
Christian
happen."
Gonzalez is the corner I was talking about.
Okay.
CB1 out of Oregon over Joey Porter Jr. Now that's some.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got all the skills, but I just feel like he's just a pretty boy, and I don't know if he's got that passion because I liked him. He's one of my top corners I loved in the very beginning.
I
But
love Joey Porter Jr.
I mean, I like Joey Porter Jr., but I'm just saying as far as Gonzalez's side, I
Oh,
worry
okay,
about
okay.
him because it seems like when he played against some really good competition, I didn't really see that physical side and that physical nature in him. The coverage ability is crazy, but I want to know if he still has that passion for everything. What's up, Coach Marv?
How do you feel about the corners in the first round, Coach?
By the corners in the first round.
Yeah, do you would you take Christian Gonzalez and Devin Witherspoon over Joey Porter Jr.?
I like Joy when it comes down to Joy Porter. He wasn't not tested a lot because teams stayed away from him because of his cover skills.
I think so too.
So you didn't have a lot of people that even throw the ball his way because of they feared how well he's covered. And I always like pedigree players. I love pedigree
Fair
players
enough.
because they're sometimes they come in with knowing the knowledge of what it takes to be an NFL player because they have seen it up close.
Right.
Right.
Orlando Brown is another one.
And they seem like they adjust a lot. I remember a lot of people were shooting down the Alabama corner a couple of years ago, and kind of saying he was good, but kind of wavering on him. But look at what Denver got. Denver got a corner that's a all pro
Oh,
guy
Pat
and
Surtain.
came in with that swagger to play like a veteran from the start with because he was molded that way because he had that grooming of professionalism from the
I
home.
I agree.
So so I love a guy that I'll always give an extra point for a guy that's got pedigree.
I
So
agree. But like when me and James was talking about it that year, and I told him, I texted him the one day. He's like, finally. I said, all right, I'm coming around on J.C. Horn because of his draft, his pro day, where he one upped. He waited till after Pat Surtain did his pro day and then one upped him on everything. And I was like, all right, I would take J.C. Horn on that because that's the attitude I want in my corner.
yeah, I got a
Yeah.
fondness for J.C. Horn because I was around him from the University of South Carolina since I made
Okay.
colleges. So I know JC. He had that pedigree as well, and he
Correct.
came in here. But listen, all the young corners in South Carolina put out a lot of good cornerbacks
Yeah.
in the and just remind you this: Stephon Gilmore doing the summertime works with all those guys.
Okay.
All those guys credit Stephon Gilmore when he comes back of just having that sense of learning the unique things from Stephon Gilmore. So that's why I know not only his Stephon Gilmore's credit for his play, but his you're gonna see a uptick in a lot of the young corners from Diggs to even Boss Man to Nashawn Bland. If they soak that in, they're gonna get even better with their techniques and their play based off having that guy with that wisdom in
I
that
was
locker room.
talking in I was talking in a Discord server that my hope for Gilmore, outside of being excellent on the field, was that he could straighten out Kelvin Joseph. Because I mean, I really don't want to see a wasted second round pick again. And that's what they have a history of doing in the second round. Is just that's our game of rich pick.
Well, you got these guys teaching because
You know what I mean?
Diggs is Diggs fifth. I mean, when he first got to the Dallas, he hadn't been a cornerback 1 or 2 years.
Right.
So you really
Right.
had nobody in that room that had real knowledge of being a real successful defensive back in this league
Right.
in that locker room because you couldn't say Anthony Brown had that. You couldn't say Jordan Lewis had that. So they were basically teaching themselves. So now when you add that guy and you add that guy in there, he's not going to only help the corners. He's going to help the safeties in that whole room of teaching them how to depend on each other. And that's the biggest part of the acquisition because now they have that something that can groom these guys. And I believe these guys, if they soak it in, they could be we could be at our time. It's just about them soaking it in.
I agree with that, coach, because I mean, when you look at, like I said, the thing that I liked about the Stephen Gilmore trade was not just what he brought on the field, is what he's going to bring off the field. And to your point, when Trevin Diggs, like he said, he was receiver. He was a receiver in high school. That was his main position. And even in college, his first year, he was a receiver until they switched him over. And then even when he played on corner, he got hurt one year and missed pretty much half the year. So he was really one full season, really, where he was really playing cornerback at a high level. So you had him coming in the NFL pretty much green and just relying on his skills. And really the
Right.
coaching of Al Harris really kind of bringing him up, but you already saw it was there. Like you said, now you have a guy in Stephen Gilmore that can continue to add to his game. That's going to continue to add to his game and add the technique, really learn how to learn the technique of the game. You got Deron Bland, you got Izzy Mukamo. Those guys are up and comers. And now when you add the Gilmore, that's what just makes you feel good. But I want to ask you, Coach, since you just came on here, I was talking to other guys that were on here, but how do you feel now about, how they've been doing in the offseason with the re-signing of Jonathan Hankins in the building?
Well, I think that was a sign that worked, a trade that worked well. We have to understand about our defensive line and the Queen's defensive line. They're gonna play 8 guys, 7, 8 guys, and Jonathan Hankins fit into that spot. I really think the person that's on the block here is Gallimore,
Right.
because I think they really try to promote him earlier, because I think they really may be trying to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to kind of push him up to say, oh, he's a key part, because when you bring Hankins back there, if you watch the tape and you looked at even Bohanna, until Bohanna hurt his shoulder, right? I think the 2 weeks right before Hankins, and he really hardly played anymore because he was hurt more than what he said. I remember the game been going out. There's not too much room for a guy. If they bring back Collins Watson, that's really saying that Gallimore is gone. So, as I knew that they would probably get Hankins, when Hankins said he didn't want to sign, it wasn't about money, because I'm telling you what, Steven, and I know this from inside knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they offer you, they ain't moving.
Right.
That's it. They're
Right.
not moving. They not shaking around. They gonna come to you and talk to you, give you an offer. They may nudge just a tad, but they got a plan and they sticking to it. And that means either you get on or you don't. And when you get to this point, big game, it's easier to sign these guys now at a discount rate, because guys see just like we see. They see a team that was 12-5 that should have been 14-3, that made a little bit of mistake, should have been in the NFC Championship game.
Right.
They see a team that can win the Super Bowl, and you done added Gilmore, and you done added Cooks. They see that. So Cowboys have the leverage when you sign these bottom level free agents of saying, we're gonna stick with our number. If you want to get on this board, on this championship ride, take it or leave it. And most times they will take it. So I think they'll put themselves in a good spot. I think that, as I heard, when Fowler was signed, I knew it wasn't going to be one more defense player signed, because that's what was the word told to me. And the rest is going to be offense. And that was it. So everything else is going to be devoted. If they sign somebody, it's going to be towards the offense. This was the last piece that they were going to sign defensively that they were going to go out to sign, was Hankins. Fowler and Hankins was the last 2 pieces on defense that they were going to sign their own. Everything else is going to be built through the draft or maybe picked up later on. And the Cowboys are going to go into the, if you really think about the big game, they're doing the exact same thing they did last year, because I still think, like I said last week, they're going to go into the season probably with $15 to $16 million of salary cap money.
Right.
That's where they're going to go into the season. So if everybody think that they're going to spend all the way down to the last penny, they're going to go into just like they did last year, about $20 million, and then they're going to whittle that down, because they have to understand the fact of this. A lot of the contracts that they sign have bonuses to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even though they wasn't counted towards the cap because they were bonuses that the players they made last year, you still got to take into account if you go deep into playing, a lot of these bonuses are based off if we go to the NFC Championship game, we get the Super Bowl. Some of those bonuses up to $500,000, right? A lot of money. So they still got to guard themselves for that bonus money that people might pick up.
Right.
So
right.
they,
I got
they playing there. They playing checkers. Hey, they playing checkers. They playing chess and not checkers. Big game. They hit on this. They don't change. They gonna change the philosophy of the NFL to go back to trading, because I read an article and about their philosophy about the trade picking up players with trades, because they feel like they win on a win-win basis. They trade for a Gilmore. They just give up a 5th-round pick. Really, it's a 1-year rental. And if he leaves next year because he wants a bigger contract, now you're going to get compensation for him with a compensatory pick.
Right.
So you might get a better pick than what you traded for him when you get a compensatory pick if he leaves the next year. And they're trying to set a market and a style of working this thing that if it works and they get to their goal, you know how this copycat league, everybody's going to go to that copycat style.
I think, and that's the biggest thing, Coach. I think that's what they're really trying to prove. I think that's why Stephen Jones is staying the way he is when he really, not saying really took over, but when he really started really talking in the media a lot. I noticed like in 2015, 2016, when he really started talking to media, and he basically let everybody know what the plan was. He was saying we're no longer going to be big time players in free agency. We're not going to do that any longer. We're signing our own. We're building through the draft, and we're going to, kind of wait till the free agents kind of happen the way it is. And they have stuck to that through our frustrations. They have stuck to it, but they are out to prove that they're going to do it this way. And if, like you said, if they can get to like a championship, or they can get to a Super Bowl this way, it will be a copycat league where you'll start seeing people and players and coaches, teams really start sticking with their own, not trying to jump out there in free agency and try to wait till those last wave and not spend those big contracts. Because if the Cowboys do it, that's going to be a model, because the Cowboys have not jumped out there and signed any more big-time guys. They won't do it. They're not going to do it. And I think they're really trying to prove that that's the way to go.
Well, you got to, but James, big game, you're going to have to be, but these other teams are going to try to do that. They're going to have to invest as much money. The Cowboys invest a lot of money in Will McClay and his scouting staff.
Right.
They changed them out. People check a low-key move they made a couple years ago when they let a lot of their scouts go, and they added more scouts, new scouts to come in. Will McClay handles that whole scout room, and they have been talking about how well run that scout room is. Now, you got to be good. The only way you can work this plan is in the last 3 to 4 years, Dallas teams are lucky to hit 50 in their draft picks. The Cowboys are hitting at a 60-70% rate of guys that are coming in and being starters and being big time contributors. That's not unheard of. And one thing I found out, man, think about it, big game. If you was coming out of college right now, the team you want to be drafted by is the Dallas Cowboys, not because of the prestige of the Cowboys. The Cowboys don't cut none of their picks.
Right.
Very rarely do a pick that they pick get cut. It had to be some real crazy circumstances for you not to make this team. And if you make the team, big game, you here for 4 years. You're not going nowhere.
Right.
Good or bad, you ain't going nowhere. So you got a job. If you get beat by the Cowboys, your family I don't care if it's a 6-7 round, your family need to have a celebration, because you got a job probably for 4 years.
Right.
So, but it is imperative that we continue to. So if we just do like we've been doing for like the last 4 years, and we hit on these 6 picks, if we can hit with 3 guys that could be very good contributors this year, they're setting them up to be in a point where you're staggering your guys that's coming up for free agency. But this is the year you got to do it, big game. This is the year, because usually teams, if you think about it, even last year with Philadelphia, people talking about as their free agents. No, it wasn't, because a lot of guys became free agents. This team, their nucleus of the team that they lost, the players they lost, were together for like 3 to 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just added a piece in that 4th year to push them over the top.
And it didn't work.
But the team was building
Right.
for 3 or 4
Right.
years. And then when they did get to the Super Bowl, those contracts had ran
Right.
out, and now they had to unload
Right.
everybody.
Right.
If we do it this year, we'll be solidified for another year with the same team. But if we wait one more year, we may have one run, and then we have to pay everybody, and it might be blown up.
Because it really and we all know this now. This is the way the league works. You got a 3-4 year window, like when you have your young guys and you have your guys that are kind of trending up. You have that 3 or 4 year window where you have to kind of win. Because if not, no matter even how good you flex that cap, it's gonna blow it up, because you're gonna have to sign a couple core people, and that's gonna take up the cap, and then you're just gonna have to let some of your guys go. That's the way it is. No matter, you can't get around it, coach. You feel me? You can't get around it in the NFL. It's gonna happen every like 3 or 4 years. So those are the windows you're gonna gotta go. And like you said, that's why I feel like you said, like you saying, they're kind of going with the all-in mantra on this one, because if you don't kind of hit it here, it's gonna have to start to blow things up when you have to talk about signing a CD Lamb or these other guys. You have to start blowing things up.
Big game. Look what major contracts we got on this team now? One.
Right.
Dak Prescott.
Right.
Nobody else. Tyron Smith contract is over. You just signed him a new deal.
Right.
Zach Martin is at the end of his. CD Lamb is still on a rookie contract. Michael Parsons is still on a rookie contract. You gonna got rid of Ezekiel Elliott. There's nobody on no big time long term deal.
Right.
But one person, Dak Prescott. So you are in the same boat that you were in before you signed Dak Prescott to his contract. So you got to capitalize before you start getting 2 or 3 guys on big market, top 3 market type contracts. You have to capitalize now, because if you don't capitalize now, you're going to end up paying guys big money without having championships. And that gets kind of iffy, because the fan base be like, well, why you paying that guy? We ain't winning.
Exactly. I mean,
So,
you speaking the total truth right there. It's a slippery slope, because you have to win in those windows. And like you said, because now let's say if you paid the CD Lamb or the Trevin Diggs and you're not winning, you're gonna be like, why they getting all that daggone money, dog? See, you need to get rid of them. You need to cut them. That's when we're going to start hearing that. You need to cut them. You need to move on from them, because you got all that money tied up and we can't sign nobody. We can't get better because you got all this money in this one player and we ain't winning. I mean, that's what happens, right? It's just like, it's crazy. And just like you said, you were key when you were talking about Philly. Like, no, they had been building up the point. Like, they had been putting things together, but those contracts ran out when they went and made the trade with the AJ Brown. That was their saying we're going all in because these guys are getting ready to come up. So let's try to go all in. They didn't get it, and now you saw how it happened, how things started to break apart. But we can say, though, they went all in and they got to the chip.
But they got to the chip because not only did they go all in, you got to understand, they understood their talent and they utilized them the right way, because they got an AJ Brown in, and they didn't fit AJ Brown into their system. They let AJ Brown run 3 routes that he did good in, and they ran those routes over and over again for him to be successful. And they didn't change. And then they said, we're not going to let Jalen Hurts throw the ball 40 or 50 times. We're going to run the ball. And as we gradually get the people to start stopping the run, we will gradually let him throw the ball more, but we're not going to just go out there in a crazy way of doing that. So that was the smart way of doing that. And listen, I said this on the last show. I said this on Law Show. I've told Balls Cowboys my mantra of this coming season. I'm telling you, big game. And you may have heard I've said it before. I've been studying this. This team is going to be a version of the 2009 to 2014 Green Bay and Seattle combination. And you think about it, those years, Green Bay and Seattle were battling. I think they played in 2 NFC Championship games. Seattle was in the Super Bowl twice. Green Bay was once. They was battling each other as McCarthy was the offensive coordinator and Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator. They had some epic battles. You cannot tell me two guys that want to come together that seem that they will not take those qualities of those teams. And you look where you could bring Shanahan in. You look like you bring you talk about this is the strength of this team of the defense, playing complementary football, making each unit better and putting the plan together. You look at this defense, and I know people want to say, oh man, when they try to get pinpoint players, but you look at the size of the defense. You look at the KJ Rice that played for Seattle, Jerron Kearse, that big guy, KJ Wright could guard people in the pass coverage as well as play linebacker. He was a big nickel, basically, even though he was huge. You look at Donovan Wilson he's not as a hitter, as a monstrous hitter at the free safety guy that they had in Seattle, but he's your hitter. Mm-hmm. You're two big corners now that can play man to man, and you don't have to worry about them. You think about Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is going to be used like the guy that before Deebo Samuel. And you may not remember, a lot of people don't remember who was before Deebo Samuels. Percy Harvin was Deebo Samuel before Deebo Samuels was.
Right.
So this team, you look at Cooks. Cooks reminds me of a Tyler Lockett guy that was in Seattle. Guy that was fast. He didn't do no stop routes. All his routes was downfield. You hit him with deep routes. He was a smaller, but he was a big play type of guy. Mm-hmm. And then you look at Schottenheimer, and Russell Wilson's best years of success of winning was under the regime of Schottenheimer putting in the offense that made Russell Wilson tick, use the running game, use play action pass, and Russell Wilson had his most efficient years under Schottenheimer without throwing interceptions. So you take a twist of that and a little bit of Green Bay twist, two coaches are going to do their identity. And if they had that much success for that many years, you cannot tell me that they don't bleed those two philosophies in together and try to get that same type of dominance, because those teams at that time had great drafts. They didn't have first round draft picks, but they hit on a lot of guys in the draft, like Will McClay is doing for them. Now they got the young buck out the way. Now they can mold those two guys together and put this thing together like when they was competition against each other. That's why they like when the competition breeds. That would breed their friendship, because they was in battle against each other. So I see that being built. We may have more running backs to this thing. I see that being built, and that's a low-key thing, because everything McCarthy says is leading to that direction. And Quinn, if they do put it together, I see it more. A offense is not going to be crazy, but efficient, and it's going to fit your defense so well that it's going to be dominant, and you're going to win more games comfortably than big-time scores. You may win games by 10, 14 points, and the other team don't even feel like they're in the game.
Exactly.
You know that what you're like, oh man, we ain't beat them by 30 points, but they never was in the game.
But that explanation,
they were struggling all game long.
That explanation that you just gave was monumental, in my opinion, because blending, like you said, the Packers and the Seattle, I remember that 2014 game, and just how you said Schottenheimer, I totally agree with you talking about that this team may not have the 40-point games like it did last year. We were scoring all those points, but when, like you said, if Dallas beats you and it's a 20-10 game, they beat you handily. It was a sound beat down. Like, you weren't in the game. You absolutely got totally dominated in the game, and the offense was totally efficient in what it did against you. It didn't have to score 40 points to beat you. the points that it scored were devastating type points. And that's what you want. You want those drive efficient offenses where, like you said, you can take the ball downfield, run that defense in the ground, and then your defense is so strong. You don't have to worry about having to come back there and be so explosive. And that's what it is. It's morphing this team into that defensive type of team. But we're going to be super efficient on offense, and we're going to kill you that way with efficiency more than having to worry about doing big plays on you all the time.
And we're going to get the big plays because with the efficiency, I think this offense is going to look for big plays. But the thing about it is when you're efficient and you know how to, and I'm not advocating run the ball on the ground, but when you're efficient to get first downs and continue to move the ball and strike, I've always been this saying, and this is a true saying about football. You control the game in the run game, you score points come in the passing game. That don't mean you got to throw the ball around. You control the game by the run game, and you strike heavily. I've always had a thing with Dak Prescott that says this. I want Dak Prescott to throw a touchdown pass for every 10 passes he throws.
Mm-hmm.
So if he throw the ball 30 times in the game, I want 3 touchdowns. If he throw it 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want 4 touchdowns.
Right.
That's where I know he's efficient, and that's where I know he's not just throwing the ball just to pity pat. He's striking you. I want to see our receivers. I want to see the receivers have no less than an average yard a catch of 12 to more.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I know you when you pass the ball, you're striking. You body blow, but when you hit, you're not tapping like a boxer. A boxer, when he throw a headshot, he don't tap your head. He throw the shot. When he throw a headshot, he throwing a headshot for a knockout punch. It don't have to be a down the field 9 pattern, but it has to be like a deep out or a deep in cut across the middle where he can get yacked and we can break it for a touchdown. And then when you control the game, when we get up in these games, like you saying, big game, we're going to run less plays. We're going to put our defense on the field less time. And that's how we're going to control our injuries to our defense.
Right.
Because we're going to play less defensive plays.
Right.
So football is not, I know I'm giving deep things because that's how I thought as a coach. Because the less plays you play on defense, the less time your players get fatigued and less injuries. And that prepares you when you get rid of games comfortably in the beginning of the season, middle of the season, so you have more stamina when it comes to playoff time, and then you can rock and roll. But it's that philosophy. Those 2 philosophies is going to be put together. And I just tell one thing, and I got to go. But big game, I tell people one thing when we talking about running back.
Mm-hmm.
This roster, the final roster is going to tell you. It's going to mean some things. I believe the Cowboys going to carry four running backs.
Mm-hmm.
If they go 5, which would be crazy, but Cowboy fans better understand. If they go 5, there's only going to be 5 wide receivers on this team. Maybe 6. Because the numbers can't match up to have 6 or 7 wide receivers. So, because you're going to have 4 tight ends. I believe they're going to carry 4.
Mm-hmm.
So if they go 4, that means if they go 4 running backs, that means there's 1 less wide receiver in this group. And you got 3 already, and you're rookie from last year, that's 4. That means there's only 1 position left. And my winner, if you don't draft a guy, my lead in that last rookie, nobody talks about him, but Galloway is my lead because this guy's a rookie, had 5 touchdowns and 500 some yards. If he ain't had that weed problem, he done put skins on the wall.
Right. Right.
The rest of these guys hadn't.
Right.
So, but I just want the Cowboy fans to understand when we talking about getting the other wide receivers and getting more, if they carry 4 running backs on this team, they're going to go less than wide receivers because McCarthy going to feel that he's not going to have to use him in the wide receivers because he's going to throw the ball to the tight ends more and the running backs more. Mm-hmm. There's only one football.
Right. For sure.
So that's what but that's not going to say we're not going to pass the ball, but he's going to be more efficient with the wide receivers, but he know he's going to need to do durability with the running backs because when he get into December, he don't even want one injury to hinder his running game.
Exactly. I feel you.
So that's what I want to say, man. But big game, like I said, man, keep on pushing, man. I watch your videos on the young people, man. Yeah, that was a great, man. And especially these young people, man, to play all the sports they can play, as many positions they can play, because that's going to help them. Just a word about Gilmore. When you talk about Diggs was a receiver, Gilmore came out of high school as an athlete, wasn't a corner. He played quarterback, wide receiver, and he played defensive back. He came out as a 5-star athlete, and they decided to put him on the defensive side of the ball when he got to South Carolina, and not on the receiver side. So that what makes him so cerebral, because he played so many good positions that he was so abreast about being a complete footballing player. And that's what you need to stress to these kids. Do as many sports, many positions that only builds their football IQ, which will help them in their sport.
Definitely, I definitely will, and I'll definitely make sure and let them know that I got another exciting one coming up tomorrow, big dog, and another one right behind it. So I'm gonna stay on that grind and keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you jumping on again. I love when you come on. I love when you share your knowledge, and especially the last bit of what you just said about the Seattle Green Bay comparison is resonating in my brain so tough right now, and I'm definitely going to be thinking about that as we talk tomorrow with our draft. And make sure you jump in there. And I'll be talking to you soon, Coach. And I'm glad you would jump on here again, man.
All right, man. Good, man.
All right.
Keep pushing,
You
brother.
too. Appreciate you. That's my dog, Coach, coming on there doing his thing. And, hey, sorry to say, but this is the end of the show tonight. But I appreciate everybody's participation. Coach Marv, once again, my dog, the Ninja. We had Skip Lewis on here. We had a couple other users jump in and jump out. But please, we're still continuing to learn as we go. But please, every Wednesday, we're going to have a live call-in show, George, just like this. You'll be able to jump on just like Coach, the Ninja, those guys did. And whenever topic we're talking about, you'll be having the first dibs to be able to give your thought and your voice on here. As we go, things will be growing with it. But like I said, I appreciate you. Next time, Tariq, when you go into the app, I try to tell everybody, when you go into the app, when you're coming on, you have to click have a drink. Go have a drink. When you click go have a drink, it takes you right into the app, and then you'll be able to come right in. And we'll be able to get you in there next time. Tariq, I'm definitely sorry about that, but I'm definitely going to get you on there next Wednesday. It's every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The app is powered by JJAANN, capital 2 J's, 2 A's, 2 N's, and you can download it in your local drop store, your Play Store, to your Android, to your tablet, or to your PC computer. So we definitely appreciate everybody. Let's have a drink. Let's have a drink on JJAANN, and we'll definitely be talking to you soon. We had a good time, and make sure you check in tomorrow. We'll be having the Best of Enemies show, I believe, tomorrow with my guy, Joe Castro, who's also on JJAANN. You can check him out if you want to check them out, just to jump in on there. And also tomorrow is our draft show. We'll be talking about defensive tackles and defensive ends. Big, because they just signed Jonathan Hankins, and Cowboys, we were hearing a different names, maybe possibly defensive tackle. Now with the signing of Hankins, we'll see how it folds. Make sure you jump in the building on those 2 shows tomorrow, and you know how we'll do. I appreciate y'all. Gonna have to jump in there next time, KG. I told you, got to go in there and click have a drink, but we'll get you in there next time. But for Big Game James, JJAANN, we'll be talking to you soon, and we out.